Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you've been hanging around the Linux world for any length of time, you know there is one name that consistently sits at the very top of the charts. And for good reason. I'm talking about MX-Linux. Today we are taking a deep dive into the brand new release MX-25.1, aptly codenamed Infinity. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a 0.1 released, how big can it be? Well, in the world of MX, a point release is often more significant than a major version for other distros. This version marks the triumphant return of a feature that defined MX Linux for years, the Dual Init setup. For those of you who might be new to Linux, don't let the technical terms scare you. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why the Infinity release is a game changer for stability, why the gaming performance just got a massive boost, and why this is arguably the best version of MX ever released. We're going to look at the new 6.12 and 6.18 kernels, the leap to Debian 13.3 foundation, and I'll explain what init systems are and why having two of them is like having a spare tire for your operating system. Let's start with the foundation. MX-25.1 is built on Debian 13.3. For those who don't know, Debian is like the grandfather of Linux. It is famous for being rock solid. MX takes that stability and adds a layer of user-friendliness that makes it accessible for everyone. But stable doesn't have to mean old. Let's look at the kernel. The kernel is the core of your OS that talks to your hardware. Most versions of MX-25.1 now feature the 6.12 Debian kernel. This is fantastic for modern laptops, newer Wi-Fi chips, and overall system snappiness. However, if you are a gamer or you're running the latest hardware, you really want to pay attention to the XFCE AHS edition. AHS stands for Advanced Hardware Support. In this specific ISO, MX is shipping the 6.18 Liquorix kernel. Now, why does that matter? For my fellow gamers here on Linux Network, the Liquorix kernel is tuned for low latency and high performance. When you combine that with the new Mesa 25.3.3 drivers included in this release, you are looking at a serious performance uplift. Whether you are running an AMD Radeon card or the latest Intel Arc graphics, these updated drivers means better frame rates, fewer crashes in AAA titles, and better compatibility with Proton. MX Linux is proving that you don't need a bleeding-edge roaring release like Arch to have a great gaming experience. You can have your stability and your high FPS too. Before we get into the heavy-hitting Dual Init stuff, I want to take a quick second to thank you all for the incredible support on the channel lately. If you're enjoying this deep dive and you want to see more Linux tutorials, distro reviews and gaming tests, please subscribe to Linux Network. It's the best way to help the channel grow and ensure I can keep providing this content for you. Also, make sure to ring that notification bell. The YouTube algorithm is a bit of a mystery, but hitting that bell ensures you're the first to know when a new video drops. It really makes a difference and I truly appreciate every single one of you who joins the community. Okay, let's talk about the headline feature, the Dual Init setup. If you're a beginner, the word init may sound like gibberish. Let's break it down simply. When you push the power button on your computer, a lot happens before you see the desktop. The init system is the very first process that starts. Its job is to start everything else. Your internet, your sound, your graphical interface. It's the manager of your computer. For a long time, the Linux world has used something called sysvinit. It's simple, it's fast, and it's been around forever. However, most modern Linux distros now use systemd. Systemd does a lot more, but it's also much more complex. In the past, MX Linux was famous because it gave you both. You could choose which manager you wanted to use. But as Linux evolved, maintaining two separate versions of the OS became a nightmare for the developers. They had to stop doing it to save time. But in MX-25.1 Infinity, the Dual Init setup is back. And it's better than ever. Instead of having to download a specific ISO for systemd or a specific one for sysvinit, they are now both on the same ISO. When you boot your live USB, you'll see a menu that asks you which one you want to use for that session. This is good, because it allows you to test both on your hardware before you even install it. It brings back that unique MX feel that many long-term users have been missing. It's all about choice. If you like the modern future of systemd, it's there. If you prefer the lean traditional feel of sysvinit, it's also there. Now, here is where it gets really clever for the user. The MX team has made the installer aware of your choice. If you boot the live USB using sysvinit and then click install, the installer will automatically set up sysvinit as your default on your hard drive. But here is the safety net. Even if you choose one as your default, the other one is still there. If you go into the group boot menu under advanced, you'll find the other init system waiting for you. It's like having a backup engine for your car. There's also a massive bug fix here that I need to mention. In the previous version, MX-23, there was a weird issue when using something called systemd shim. Users would log out and log back in, and suddenly they couldn't do anything that required a password. Have you ever tried to open a system setting and the enter password box just never appeared? That was Polkit Dbus break. It was incredibly frustrating for new users because it felt like the OS was broken. The developers have confirmed that with this new setup in 25.1, that bug appeared to be completely squashed. The transition between logging out and in is now seamless, and those root privilege prompts actually show up when they are supposed to. This alone makes the upgrade worth it for stability. One of the best things about MX Linux is how it handles live USBs. Many people use MX on a thumb drive to troubleshoot other computers or to browse the web privately. This is called persistence. It saves your files even after you unplug the USB. However, because this Dual Init system is brand new, there is one known issue you need to be aware of. If you use semi-automatic persistence, this is a specific mode where the root of the OS is loaded into your RAM for extra speed, you might run into a snag. Right now, when you go to shut down the computer, the console may stop accepting keyboard input. This means you can't tell it to save your session at the very last second. If you're a beginner and that sounds like Martian to you, don't worry. If you are installing MX Linux to your laptop's hard drive like a normal computer, this does not affect you at all. It also doesn't affect standard live USBs or static persistence. It only affects that one specific semi-automatic mode. The MX team is already looking into a fix, but for now, the system will just fall back to automatic saving. It's a minor speed bump in an otherwise very smooth release, but I wanted to make sure you knew about it, so you aren't surprised. So, the big question, do you need to go out and download the new ISO and wipe your computer? If you are already running MX-25 and your system is working perfectly, the answer is no. MX Linux is very generous with its updates. If you have been running your regular system updates, you already have the new 6.12 kernel. You already have the Debian 13.3 base, you already have the new security patches. The Infinity ISOs are primarily for new installs or for people who specifically want to switch over to that Dual Init lifestyle. The MX team has stated that they won't force that Dual Init setup onto existing users via updates. They want to respect your current configuration. If you are an existing user and you really want that Dual Init functionality, there is a blog post on the official MX website that gives you the commands to transition your system. But if you're happy with what you have, just keep your current setup. The single init version of MX-25 are 100% supported for the entire life of the MX-25 cycle. I also want to give a huge shout out to the people behind the scenes. This entire Dual Init system exists because of the incredible work by Prowler GR and their Init Diversity project over at Antics. It's a beautiful reminder of how the Linux community works. Small teams collaborate, share code, and build something that benefits everyone. If you're a real power user and you want to see just how far this can go, check out the Antics latest bits. They are experimenting with having 5 or 6 different init systems on one disk. But for most of us, MX-25.1 Infinity is the sweet spot. It's professional, it's stable, and it gives you just enough tinkering power without feeling overwhelming. So, what are your thoughts? Are you going to stick with systemd or are you excited to give sysvinit a try for that old school speed? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your experience with these distros and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. Thanks for watching, I'm Cătălin, this is Linux Network, and I'll see you in the next one.